What makes the PFL unique in the world of MMA?
Impa immediately trying to back up Silveira.
One punch, one kick, one submission.
It's very tight.
One season. It's win or go home.
That's it! Jesus Pinheiro!
The PFL playoffs stand as the defining crucible of competition.
Good left hand for Braga.
Showing up when it matters.
Oh, right hand! And on Ferreira to a championship!
An ability to face setbacks and persevere to stand victorious. In one PFL season, anyone can forge their destiny.
What a moment having that belt around his waist.
Fighters are one win away from a championship berth.
Oh, and another one landed.
Earning their place in PFL history. This is the moment. This is the PFL playoffs.
Welcome, PFL Fight Fun fans, to Nashville, Tennessee. We are here right outside of Broadway, Music City. The lights are bright. The neon is glowing. This is the type of city where dreams are chased and often realized, that that is the hope for our heavyweights and women's flyweights tomorrow night. Your main event, Dennis Goltsov, Tim Johnson, co-main, Dakota Ditcheva, Jenna Bishop. Winners advance to the championship. These are the PFL playoffs, and this is how the PFL season format works. 10 fighters per weight class, 6 different weight classes. 2 regular season fights for each fighter, 3 points for wins, bonus points for a finish in any round. The top 4 fighters in each division make the playoffs. That's where we're at now in this journey, and $1 million await the champion in every division. Sean O'Connell, Randy Couture, Dan Hardy, happy to be back together. Happy for the playoffs to be here. Randy, it's been a long season, some interesting results so far, but now it's cutting time. Win or go home.
Absolutely. It's been an incredible season, but this is what it's all about. These are the guys that are putting it on the line and hoping for that shot at that shiny gold belt and that $1 million check. It is on.
And we will see in both of these divisions a brand new champion. At 265 pounds, the heavyweight will put that gold and cash that $1 million check for the very first time. Same is true in a brand new division in the PFL, the women's flyweight.
The women's flyweight, of course, we have Dakota Ditcheva, the first PFL Europe champion. She stepped over onto the global roster. Liz Carmouche, Tyler Santos, she's in amongst a really dangerous group of people in this weight class now. Of course, Jenna Bishop is her opponent this weekend coming up. But, you know, so many interesting storylines going into this. So many people that are looking to get their hands not only on the $1 million, but on the gold belt for the first time. And in Dennis Goltsov's case, it's avoided him a couple of times.
Well, let's talk about Dennis Goltsov as we look at our heavyweight bracket. He is the #1 seed, and he takes on Tim Johnson, who in the regular season had just one opportunity on short notice, and he made good on it. 1 versus 4 is Goltsov versus Johnson. In the semifinal opposite that, Oleg Popov thought he was going to have to fight his training partner and teammate, Valentin Moldavsky. Linton Vassell actually beat Moldavsky last time out, but because of the way the points worked, Vassell was further down in the standings. Moldavsky gets hurt. Vassell steps in, and he feels like he earned that spot. I am not one to dispute that because he's coming off a big victory. Our main event tomorrow night will take place between 2 big heavyweights. Dennis Goltsov, his 5th time in the playoffs, still chasing his first championship. And Tim Johnson, a fairy tale story. Can he complete it by making his way past the Russian behemoth and into a championship $1 million opportunity? He got the call while he was driving truck. Randy Couture, I want to start there. This is a guy who literally was hauling pigs, doing the day job. His manager called him and said, hey, you're not just an alternate in this heavyweight bracket. You are now fighting for a spot in the playoffs, but you got to get a finish. And he did.
He did in amazing fashion. He throws an amazing left hand on Danilo Marquez just as he gets his cup checked and goes down himself, something you rarely see. This guy has 13 finishes to his credit. He's an All-American at Minnesota State Moorhead. Very good wrestler. There's the shot heard around the world. That was an amazing, and he gets up and didn't realize how bad he had Danilo Marquez hurt. until they went and watched the replay. This guy's an amazing guy, fun to talk to, and knows exactly what's staring him in the face.
And he knows he's a big underdog tomorrow night. The man standing opposite him is the 1 seed and the favorite in a lot of people's minds for a reason. The skill set for Denis Goltsov is not the problem. He's been in this spot before and always run into some mental block or some lack of performance. But is this his year?
It may be his year, but of course, if he runs into a big left or right hand from Tim Johnson, it might evade him one more time. But the reality is Denis Goltsov's probably got the best jab in all of heavyweight mixed martial arts. If Tim Johnson can't get past that jab, then he's going to find himself being jousted across the smart cage all night. But of course, if he crashes in too fast, he might find himself defending takedowns, and that's going to sap his gas tank. And we know that this has not been a full season for him, so he doesn't even know where that gas tank is and how quickly he's going to reach the bottom of it. The reality is Tim Johnson needs to land with those big hands over the top, but he's got to get around the jab of Denis Goltsov.
Goltsov, you see it in the tape there. He's built like a middleweight, just upsized.
Yeah.
That's a scary, scary proposition for all the other men in this bracket. Let's take a look at the other semifinal at heavyweight. Oleg Popov, one of the star pupils of legendary coach and former fighter Fedor Emelianenko. This man holds the longest win streak in heavyweight mixed martial arts. Standing opposite him has been the kryptonite for the Red Devils team, Linton Vassell. Took 2 out of 3 from Valentin Moldavsky. Now he's ready to pull off another upset and punch his ticket to the championship. Oleg Popov is one of 3 guys that Fedor was coaching heading into this season, and he's the last man standing. He has not lost in 8 years.
Yeah, his last loss was in 2016. He's on a 16-fight streak. He's an amazing athlete. Great takedowns, naturally heavy hands, very well-rounded, as you would expect from a top pupil of Fedor Emelianenko. This guy's great in the ground and pound. He's got submission skills as well. He's got to put it all together against Vassell tonight, but he has got all the skills he needs. And I think he's very happy he's not fighting his buddy Moldavsky tonight.
Linton Vassell might be the nightmare matchup for Oleg Popov. Obviously, he didn't want to fight his training partner and friend, but if he had to have a replacement, he gets the guy who just beat one of the best fighters that Russia has produced recently. Valentin Moldavsky falls to Linton Vassell last time out. Vassell gets this opportunity because of that win, and now Oleg Popov stands in his way. Can Vassell get past him?
You know, he absolutely can, but you've got to love a story like this, right? You've got Linton Vassell. He's had this trilogy match with Moldavsky. He was able to better him in that last fight, but it was a hard-fought battle. He showed some real, corners that he turned with his conditioning, with his preparation. He's going to need all of those things going into this fight against Popov, because no doubt this team knows Linton Vassell very well. They know how to approach this fight. They've just got to put it into reality on the night. And Linton Vassell, his experience is growing. His time in the smart cage is making him very, very comfortable in this format. I think he's going to be a real difficult person to beat. And with the confidence of the Moldavsky trilogy in his back pocket, he already feels like he's beaten that team.
Winner advances to a $1 million championship opportunity in November. These are the PFL playoffs. Let's look at the other weight class that is featured tomorrow night. That's our women's flyweight division, brand new this year in the PFL. Dakota Ditcheva, rising star in the sport, still undefeated. She's coming off of 2 big wins and is the #1 seed. Jenna Bishop, the 4 seed, after a hard-fought split decision loss against Tyler Santos, but she had enough points from her first regular season bout to earn that #4 spot. That's striker versus grappler. And then the 2-3 matchup, what a treat. Tyler Santos, Liz Carmouche. In a lot of people's minds, you talked in the preseason, this was the championship prediction for most folks. It'll be Santos versus Carmouche. Now we get it as a semifinal. Dakota Ditcheva, undefeated. Some of the best striking in the sport. Some of the cleanest, most beautiful combinations, man or woman. But opposite her tomorrow night, a grappling specialist, Jenna Bishop. Very successful in the world of competitive grappling before she even touched MMA. Went 7-0 and then finally tasted defeat last time out, but by a narrow margin. Let's start with Dakota Ditcheva. you can't throw too many superlatives at how clean and beautiful and creative her striking is. The way she mixes kicks and body work and keeps the punches long. Is it the right recipe tomorrow night?
Well, we're going to have to see, right? You know, Dakota was the inaugural PFL Europe flyweight champion. We saw how skilled she was throughout that first season. She was able to just dispatch her opponents with such comfort. And then she's done the same thing in the regular season here. Lisa Molden, beautiful body shots, put her down. Chelsea Hackett backed her up against the fence. The same punch, left hook into the solar plexus, stole her soul. Look at that. As soon as Dakota steps in there, you know her opponent's in danger. But the difference is here, can she be as aggressive pushing forward when she knows full well Jenna Bishop's going to grab a hold of her, and if she hits the canvas, that's a whole different world down there for Dakota.
Well, it's a perfect question, Randy, to set up what Jenna Bishop's going to try to do in this fight. Because, look, Bishop accounted well for herself in the striking last time out, but you probably don't want to live in that world against Dakota Ditcheva. This is a black belt level grappler, and not just in the sport of mixed martial arts. She was a high-level competition sport grappler as well. She is an ace on the ground.
Absolutely amazing. 4 submission victories of her 7 victories. She's not afraid to step into the pocket and let her hands go and punch her way into the position that she wants to be in against Dakota Ditcheva. She knows she's got to use her hands and put pressure on Ditcheva to get past Ditcheva's long-range weapons and put her right here, exactly where she wants to be. Here she is against Hackett with the arm bar, remarkable submission skills, and she was a track and field athlete when she started athletics. Very interesting person.
Really fascinating matchup, classic matchup of styles. Striker versus grappler in that 1 versus 4. On the other side of the bracket is a fight fan's delight. Liz Carmouche, a pioneer in women's mixed martial arts who is still at it and showing no signs of slowing down. The only active Bellator champion who decided to test out this PFL format after the Bellator acquisition. And Taila Santos, a lot of people think that she is a top 3 female fighter on the planet. She's got to get through tomorrow night and to a championship to prove her fans right. Let's start with Liz Carmouche. We've been in awe of what she's been able to accomplish in Bellator, a pioneer in the UFC, obviously, and now here in the PFL. On the very brink of elimination, she pulled off a beautiful arm bar with 8 seconds left in the fight to secure her spot in these playoffs. But something might be amiss, Randy. She did miss weight for the first time in her career.
Yeah, missed weight by 1 pound, which Liz has got the best fight IQ of anybody I've ever interviewed. She's very intelligent. She understands this game. She was a Marine, deployed 3 times to Iraq. She's very, very smart, very physically formidable, very, very well-rounded opponent. Submission skills, heavy hands, not afraid of the competition. Here she is against Watanabe with the 8-second arm bar right there to secure her spot in this playoff. We're very interested to see what's going on with Liz, but we know Liz, every time she steps in that cage, she's going to bring it.
She'll be penalized 1 point on the scorecards when this bout begins, and that, of course, when it's so tightly matched and so closely contested, can really throw a wrench in things. Let's talk about Taila Santos, because if you're fighting against Liz Carmouche, you better have all the tools in the toolbox. You better be ready to grapple and to strike. Well, Santos can answer both of those calls.
You know, and she's going to need to as well. Look, the reality is, if you're a fighter in this division and Liz Carmouche is your opponent, you're most likely going to be giving up experience and strength and some kind of skill set somewhere. But you look at Taila Santos and you look at what she's capable of doing. She's a great grappler. She's got great striking. If you clinch her, she's very strong in the clinch. She's got good takedowns and good takedown defense. Really, the question for me in this one is, how is Taila Santos going to approach that first round? Does she go, well, Liz missed weight, I'm going to put pressure on her early and try and make her tired? Or does she kind of hang back and try and figure out what's going on with Liz and maybe what Liz's approach is to her?
Those 4 semifinal bouts will make up the entirety of our main card. We'll start at 9 Eastern on ESPN. We'll broadcast it simultaneously on ESPN+. You see the red corner favorites there. The lone exception to that is Taila Santos. And that number was affected by the Liz Carmouche weight miss. Action will begin with an early card, 6 Eastern, exclusively on ESPN+. Some showcase affairs at welterweight, a couple of catchweight contests, and a heavyweight feature between Tyrell Fortune and Sergey Belisteny. Belisteny, the blue corner favorites in that one. We're here for the weigh-in, so let's get these fighters on the scale. For that, we send it over to the voice of our smart cage, Andy Shepard.
Thank you, Sean. Yes, we are here in Music City ahead of our first of 3 playoff events tomorrow night. The women's flyweights and the heavyweights have their opportunities to earn their places in those all-important championships. Come and join us when the action begins at 6 p.m. Eastern live on ESPN+. All we've got to do now is weigh in the athletes. And to help us do that, let's welcome our president of fighter operations, Ray Seppo.
Our first bout tomorrow night will take place in the welterweight division, a showcase affair between Kevin Pease and Nick Meck.
Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner from Topeka, Kansas, Nick Meck.
Nick Meck with a record of 7-1. He's got 3 submissions on his record and 1 knockout loss. Of course, he's
official weight 170.5 pounds.
Dealing with someone who's got strong wrestling coming up against him, so we're most likely going to be leaning on those submission skills here.
And his opponent in the red corner, fighting out of Memphis, Tennessee, Kevin Pease.
Kevin Pease comes to us from Memphis, Tennessee. Got 1 knockout, 3 submissions in his 5 victories in this sport.
Kevin weighs in at
very well-rounded and looking to prove to the bosses he deserves to be in the regular season.
It's going to be an aggressive start to the night. This is. Both of these guys are going to put their foot on the gas in that first round. Look at the stare from Pease. Look at the intensity. That's a great card opener.
Up next, a catchweight affair, 173-pound contract weight agreed to between Jaleel Willis and Anthony Ivy.
Up next, in the blue corner, fighting out of San Antonio, Texas, Anthony Ivy.
A lot of experience for both of these fighters, 14-7, and an equal distribution of finishes as well, knockouts and submissions.
Official weight 172.75 pounds.
7 apiece. That is 100% finish rate for Anthony Ivy.
And his opponent in the red corner, fighting out of Memphis, Tennessee, Jaleel Willis.
Jaleel was 16-6, 5 knockouts and 11 decisions in his fight career. Started wrestling at the age of 6 and sharpened his grappling skills through his high school years.
Official weight 172.5 pounds.
It's going to be a very different experience than Jaleel Willis's last outing, given the fact that he was up against Cedric Doumbé in Paris. A bit more peaceful this time around, but I expect him to bring the intensity just as well. Looking to get back on track here. 2 real veterans of the sport.
More showcase action in a catchweight of 163 pounds. Sergio Cosio, Derek Sanders.
First up, in the blue corner, fighting out of Nashville, Tennessee, Derek Sanders.
Eight and 4, 3 submission wins on his record. No, both of these guys, they don't mind where the fight goes. This one's going to flow.
155.25 pounds.
It's going to flow through ranges very, very quickly, this one is. Do not blink.
And his opponent in the red corner, fighting out of Durango, Mexico, Sergio Cosio.
Ton of experience from Sergio Cosio, 27-9-1, 7 KOs, 13 submissions. He's on a record 11 wins out of his last 12 fights.
162.75 pounds.
Action continues in the featherweight division. 3 5-minute rounds between Cody Law and Zach Hicks.
In the blue corner, fighting out of Nashville, Tennessee, Zach Hicks.
Pressure's on Zach Hicks here, fighting in Nashville. But, you know, great submissions on his record. Lots of rear naked chokes, Darce chokes. He's got to get this fight to the floor, though. And given the fact that Cody Law's got a strong wrestling background, that might be the real challenge for him here.
It hits the scales of 145.5 pounds. And in the red corner, fighting out of Coconut Creek, Florida, by way of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Cody Law.
Cody Law's 8-2. He's got 4 knockouts and 1 submission to his victories. He's a Division II national wrestling champion from the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown. Law made his professional debut in October of 2020.
He's so good at utilizing that wrestling as well to shut down his opponent's grappling game and force them to strike with him. 4 knockouts on his record.
Definitely going to be a factor in this fight, for sure.
Featherweight action between Alexei Pergande and Dan Bowl up next.
First up, in the blue corner, fighting out of Knoxville, Tennessee, Dan Bowl.
Dan Bowl spent a lot of time fighting in and around this region. He's going to be very well known by the fans as they start to fill the arena as he walks into the smart cage.
Weight 145.25 pounds.
4-2 is his record, so a couple more fights experience, a couple of losses, but that could be very motivating to make sure you get the win on the record.
And in the red corner, fighting out of Nashville, Tennessee, Alexei Pergande.
Alexei Pergande is no stranger to the smart cage. He's fought a few times in the PFL, started in our Challenger Series 7. He's got 4 victories. He's undefeated, 2 submissions and 2 decisions. His parents are immigrants from Ukraine and Siberia. Started jiu-jitsu at the age of 7.
The clear height and reach advantage there, but obviously Dan Bowl is going to be looking at those arms as potential targets if this fight hits the floor.
The final bout on our early card will be this heavyweight feature, Tyrell Fortune and Sergey Bilasteny.
In the blue corner, fighting out of Moscow, Russia, Sergey Bilasteny.
So this is actually a rematch. Back in, 2023, these two guys fought, and unfortunately for Bilasteny, he landed a few shots to the back of the head, and that fight was ruled in the opposite direction. This is unfinished business. Both of these guys want to get in there and get that score settled.
And his opponents in the red corner, fighting out of Tempe, Arizona, by way of Portland, Oregon, Tyrell Fortune.
Fortune's got 8 knockout victories in his 14 wins. Training out of Tempe, Arizona now. Former NCAA Division II champion at Grand Canyon University.
Up next, our first semifinal of the 2024 season, Liz Carmouche and Tyler Santos.
First, in the blue corner, fighting out of Florianopolis, Brazil, Tyler Santos.
Got to be one of the biggest opportunities in Tyler Santos' career. She's going to have watched Liz Carmouche as she was coming through on the regional scene. And, you know, Liz Carmouche, she's
weighs in at 125.75 pounds.
Looking in great shape. Like, Liz Carmouche is such a legend in this division that it's got to be a real privilege for Santos to be able to face her.
Those are absolutely the people you want to fight, right? Those names.
And her opponent in the red corner, fighting out of San Diego, California, by way of Okinawa, Japan, Liz Carmouche.
Liz Carmouche, a veteran of the United States Marine Corps, served as an aviation electrical specialist there. 3 tours in Iraq. UFC history against Ronda Rousey, first female in the sport in the UFC.
That is a great fight. Loads of experience, loads of skill between them. A lot at stake in this matchup.
From there, we move to a heavyweight semifinal. Oleg Popov and Linton Vassell.
First up, in the blue corner, fighting out of Milton Keynes, England, Linton Vassell.
Linton Vassell's got a real swagger about him. I think he got a lot of confidence in that trilogy win over Moldavsky. Now, of course,
48 pounds.
Fighting one of the teammates of his old foe, someone that's going to know his game very well. Going to be interested to see how Popov approaches this one and whether he expects a different version of Vassell.
And in the red corner, fighting out of Stary Ostrov, Russia, Oleg Popov.
Popov is 18-1 on a 16-fight win streak. Here's a master of sport in Army hand-to-hand combat in Russia, which is Sambo.
Weight 247 1/4 pounds.
I think that's the first time I've seen Popov look serious today. He's a real joker, that guy. You wouldn't think it.
It's still wild to me that Vassell used to be a light heavyweight.
Yeah.
He's usually the bigger guy in these heavyweight bouts. Women's flyweight semifinal action in the co-main event, Dakota Ditcheva and Jenna Bishop.
Introducing first, in the blue corner, fighting out of San Diego, California, Jenna Bishop.
Jenna 7-1, just suffered a very, very close loss, split decision loss to Talia Santos. She expects to find Talia Santos in the final. She needs to put pressure on Dakota Ditcheva to get her to that grappling situations.
And her opponent in the red corner, fighting out of Manchester, England, Dakota Ditcheva.
Dakota coming off a PFL Europe Championship. Now in the global season, undefeated, amazing striking, two-time world champion at Muay Thai. Little darling here in the PFL.
Is that a Celsius chain she's got? Wow.
Those sporting the cowboy hats. Welcome to Nashville.
Quick look at the tail of the tape for this co-main event. Ditcheva 26. Jenna Bishop is 38 years old. Ditcheva, the taller fighter here. Both women weighed in right at 125 pounds. 4-inch reach advantage on the arms favoring Ditcheva. Her legs are only 2 inches longer than Jenna Bishop. All right, Dan Hardy's going to have some questions for our fighters here. But, Randy, when it's a grappler versus a striker, when it's Jenna Bishop versus Dakota Ditcheva, which of these people is more likely to engage in the other's specialty?
Yeah, that is very interesting, and I think you're probably going to see Jenna Bishop come across and use her hands to get where she needs to be. I don't think you're going to see Dakota Ditcheva try to take this fight to the ground in any way, shape, or form.
All right, Dan Hardy is with Jenna Bishop.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Jenna Bishop. So, face off, a little bit frosty, a little nudge of the hat. How was it all feeling out there?
It's whatever. I don't know. You can do what you want. It doesn't bother me.
What's the feeling going into this one? I mean, everyone's saying striker v grappler seems quite obvious, but is it as clean cut as that?
I mean, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. I think so, but maybe not.
You seem happy to be here, though, and I do love the hat.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, good luck tomorrow. Thank you. Back to you guys.
We're going to get Dan Hardy a cowboy hat.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
I bet Dan Hardy does not.
I mean, you'll get a nickname like the Outlaw and not have a cowboy hat.
He's got to
Come
have
on.
a cowboy hat. All right, Dan has Dakota Ditcheva as well.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Dakota Ditcheva. Well, first I have to mention that Celsius necklace. I mean, that looks like a weapon in its own right.
I mean,
that looks heavy.
Yeah, it's very heavy, but I'm not allowed to keep it, so I'm a bit gutted, but it looked good anyway.
I think if you got that belt around your waist, they'd probably hand that over to you. How are you feeling going into this one?
I'm excited, yeah. Opposite styles. I think it's going to be a great matchup, you know. I say opposite styles, but we can both grapple, we can both strike, so, you know, I'm looking forward to the match.
Well, that's what I just asked Jenna, obviously, because it seems quite obvious, striker v grappler, but you're working on your grappling, she's working on her striking. Are we going to be any surprises tomorrow?
Yeah, there could be. You know, she stood up with Santos last round, and everyone, you know, saw that she could strike. So I probably need to show my grappling a little bit more. Maybe we'll see that tomorrow. Maybe we won't. We'll find out.
I'm very excited. Good luck for the fight. See you again. Thanks, guys. Back to you.
Awesome. One final order of business then on the scale. A heavyweight main event. Denis Goltsov and Tim Johnson.
First up, in the blue corner, fighting out of Vegas, Nevada, by way of Lamberton, Minnesota, Tim Johnson.
Tim Johnson's 18-9 with 10 knockouts and 3 submissions. An All-American at Mid-State University of Moorhead. An amazing athlete, done a great job. Took this fight and put himself here in short notice, driving livestock across our country. A remarkable story.
And his opponents in the red corner, fighting out of St. Petersburg, Russia, Denis Goltsov.
34-8, 17 knockouts, 11 submissions. The two-time Sambo world champion. This guy's been in the playoffs 5 times, and the belt has eluded him so far. Is this going to be his year?
Johnson trying to add some height so he can look Denis Goltsov eye to eye. Here's your tail of the tape. Denis Goltsov, 34 years of age. Tim Johnson is 39. Says he's got a couple good years left, though. Goltsov is 6'5". Johnson is 6'3". You can see Johnson weighed in right at that heavyweight limit. 78-inch reach on the arms for both men. Usually, Goltsov has a reach advantage. Longer legs belonging to the Russian. All right, Randy, while we wait for Tim Johnson to meet up with Dan Hardy, this is a guy that took a fight on roughly a week's notice, got the win. Now he has a real camp. He gets to put in a full training camp. How much has that changed his preparedness, his level of confidence and performance?
I think it changes it a lot. He knows his gas tank is there, how deep he can go. It hasn't been a full season, but he can definitely go a long harder. Then he had to go against Danilo Marquez in the shot that got him here. So it'll be interesting to see how hard he pushes, what he does. If he can use that wrestling, that All-American wrestling, to take Goltsov out of his strength. That's striking.
The outlaw Dan Hardy has Tim Johnson.
Thanks, guys. Tim, after that last fight, you know, the craziness that happened in the first round, I had loads of people coming up to me and they're like, I'm on the Tim Johnson train now. Are you feeling that love and that support?
To an extent, I guess, yeah. I think there's a new brand of MMA fans that haven't really seen me before. And like, who's this guy up there who just looks like a regular Joe fighting some guys that look like Dennis?
And Denis, you know, he's a big, tall, imposing guy. He's been in this situation before, but this is new ground for you, and we know you've got the power in the hands to get it done. So where's your confidence level, and how is your preparation for this one?
Preparation, same. Just do what I've done the last however many years. Confidence level, I have nothing to lose. I'm here by accident, and at a 4-1 underdog, I mean, let's go have some fun.
I love it. Good luck, Tim. I'm excited for you. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Tim Johnson.
I know he sleeps with that chew in.
He's got to take the dip out and put a mouthpiece in on actual fight night. Denis Goltsov, we asked the question, is the second time the charm? Is the third time? Is the fourth time? Is the fifth time the charm?
Well, we've gotten him this far, right? No visa issues, no injuries, no. He's had a lot of crazy stuff happen that has kept him out. And really, this looks to be his year. Can he put it all together? Can he deal with a guy like Tim? It's going to be interesting.
Denis Goltsov is with Dan Hardy.
Thanks, guys. So, Denis, a big, powerful puncher, a guy that you know is going to come and try and score the knockout. Does that make your life a little easier, given the fact that you're a very technical fighter?
Большой ударник будет, большой соперник. Тебе будет помогать то, что ты хороший ударник.
Ну, в подготовке мы использовали все виды ММА, поэтому, собственно, не важно, что я буду делать, там, бороться или бить. Я готов к этому бою.
The preparation was excellent. I've been doing everything. It doesn't really matter if we're going to wrestle or we're going to box. I'm ready for anything.
And what do you have to do to make this your year to become the world champion?
Что тебе нужно сделать в этом году, чтобы действительно стать чемпионом в этом году?
Немножко больше удачи.
Just a little bit more luck.
A little bit more luck. Good luck, my friend. I'm excited for your fight. Back to you guys.
He has had some bad luck in previous seasons, but like Randy said, not trying to jinx him, the injuries have stayed clean for Denis Koltsov. He hasn't had visa issues to deal with. Tomorrow night, he could punch his ticket to a championship bout in this PFL heavyweight division. Nashville, Tennessee, playing host to our first playoff event of 2024. We'll start the action on ESPN Plus at 6 o'clock Eastern. From there, we go to ESPN 9 Eastern. We'll simulcast that on ESPN Plus with our main card, which is all semifinals. Winners advance to the championship. Losers go home and wait for the call on next season. Join us tomorrow night for PFL Playoffs.